Now, if, like millions of Brits, you struggle to get hold of an NHS dentist when you need one, you won't be surprised to hear that only 1 in 7 dentists doesn't moonlight privately. And that's according to a new survey by the General Dental Council revealing the rot in our dental service. I'm joined now by private dentist and specialist Aram Navai. Aram, very nice to see you. Welcome to the
Thanks for having me, Mike.
Graham. Now, you're one of those guys that can't work from home, so you're very welcome here. You know, imagine if all the dentists in Britain decided to just work from home. That's why I've got a big bugbear about it.
Yeah.
But there is a problem. You're in the private sector, so you don't do any NHS at all.
I'm currently in the private sector.
Yeah.
I've been a dentist for 15 years.
Right.
I actually worked as an NHS general dentist for the first 6 years of my qualification. I then went on to specialise, and now I'm an endodontist or a root canal specialist.
Okay.
And the NHS actually doesn't really fund for specialists like myself. Very, very few.
Yeah.
So in a way, we have no choice but to work privately.
Well, every time I've ever talked to any dentist about all of this, they talk about how the amount of money per patient that you get from the government is just not enough to run a proper surgery.
There's different issues here. So firstly, I think not everyone is aware that every dental practice actually operates as an independent business.
Right.
So the way the dental system is funded by the NHS is different to the medical system. The medical system funds everything in the hospitals, right? Whereas with dentistry, every business has to operate itself as an independent business. So what that
So it has to make money.
Yeah, exactly. So if they rely only on their NHS income, they'll go under, right? So they need the private income to be able to provide all the facilities and the equipment and all the training and everything like that to be able to deliver, you know, the high quality care that we need.
So I know this is probably not an easy question to answer in a couple of minutes, but what could be done to fix it? I mean, is it just a matter of money? Could the government, which now already gives the NHS 200 billion a year, and is now giving it an extra 6 billion for all sorts of other things. I mean, how much money would it cost to fix that?
So I think part of it is the funding. So we're known to spend our dental budget is actually one of the lowest, I believe, in Western Europe.
Right.
It's only, I think, 5% or less of the total NHS budget. So that's one issue.
Right.
The other issue is channeling the funding in the right areas, right?
Yeah.
So, for example, you know, we've got these terrible situations of dental deserts where there's dentists.
There's nothing.
There's no dentists and people are pulling out their
My
own
kids
teeth.
actually lost their dentist. This was down in Sussex. Because they were just told they'd been taken off the list.
Yeah.
And I mean, they did eventually find another one, but it took a few months.
Yeah, so the funding needs to be channeled to areas where it's needed more. And then the other thing is the whole dental contract, which is completely flawed. We've got, I don't know how much you know about it, but we've got basically a system called the UDA system, Units of Dental Activity, which puts all treatments into 3 bands, right? So, for example, if a patient walks into the surgery and they need 1 filling, the practice and the dentist will get paid exactly the same as if that patient needs 20 fillings, 3 extractions, and a root canal treatment, for example.
So it's per patient.
Exactly. And so you can imagine for a high-need patient, if the dentist is going to spend time treating that patient or all their needs, they're going to be at a huge loss.
Right.
And this system that isn't anywhere else in the world. It just doesn't make sense. When I talk to my colleagues abroad, you know, they're like, no one understands it. They're like, how does this work?
Right.
So,
and do they have private systems as well? Because the private system is very expensive. So for a lot of people, unless they've got health insurance of one kind or another, they can't really afford to come and see people like you, can they?
Yeah, so it depends. I mean, it's either got to be insurance-based or privately funded. That's the thing. But I think, again, part of the funding should be channeled to people like specialists, and some small changes are being made. So, for example, we've got areas now where they're giving contracts to what's called level 2 practitioners. So these are basically dentists with enhanced skills. Like, let's talk about my specialty, root canal treatment. It's one of the most common treatments.
I've had some of those.
Yeah, exactly. And it's
nightmare.
Yeah.
Although,
well,
you know,
not if it's done properly.
Yeah.
It's an essential treatment, right? It's a treatment that's required to save a tooth, which would otherwise have to be extracted. And the majority of root canal treatments are actually done by general dentists, but it's a very, very technically challenging treatment, very hard to do. And if it's not done properly, it can go really bad, both for the patient and for the dentist, who's then going to be, the patient is going to be unhappy, you know, from the dentist.
Right.
So they need the funding needs to be channeled, and some small changes are being made now to dentists, for example, who've got enhanced skills, or specialists like myself who can deliver that high quality treatment to make sure that, you know, things go well for the patients, as well as.
I mean, it's a real mire, isn't it, that needs to be sorted out. And again, something the government, I'm afraid, have not done terribly well at. But Aaron, thank you very much indeed for joining us. We'll see you again, I'm sure.
It's my pleasure.
Great to see you. Come back in 3 months to see me again. I'll be complaining. You're watching The Independent Republic of Mike Graham.